Alright guys, I'm here at Harley Davidson Demo Days in Golden, Colorado. And look at all these demo bikes we can take out for a ride. And believe it or not, I've ridden every single one except the Fat Boy. And let's see, do you know your motorcycle identifications? How can you tell the Fat Boy? What you can actually do is you can look at the back tire and see which one has the fattest tire right there. That is the Fat Boy. Of course, the Breakout also has the fat tire. Let's see, the Breakout is actually up here. So the Breakout's kind of like the Fat Boy, except it's kind of like stretched out a little bit. You can see the Breakout's actually new for this year. So the Breakout has more of a kind of a straight handlebar. And believe it or not, I actually bought a brand new 2023 Fat Boy. And I've done so many modifications to it. I thought I would actually take out the stock and see how it is compared to my customizations. So what I actually did on my bike is I have leather grips that make the grips fatter. I got rid of the floorboards and put pegs, which is an awesome upgrade, let me tell you. Especially for a big guy like me, 6'4". That's probably the best thing. I put some crash bars and then some highway pegs so I can like stretch out, which is really good. I actually did the seat upgrade. Got the more comfortable seat. Because this thing doesn't feel bad, but if you're going for like 3 hours, let me tell you, your butt is not the same after 3 hours. All right, so it's pretty simplistic, very simplistic. You just have an on button here. And this is pretty nice because before it actually, you know, some of them you have to wait for the whole thing. Like I think on the Indians, you have to wait for the whole startup. But on these, you can just, before it even initializes, you can start the engine, which is pretty awesome. You pull on the clutch, make sure it's in neutral, hit this button right here. Yeah, this is my bike right here. Except I got it in black, and you can see it's 20,199 in black, 20,700 in blue, and then this one is the most expensive, 21,000. So it's only another what, $800 for this color. That's not bad. And you can actually cycle through the different, so this has 2,257 miles. When I bought my bike, it had 1 mile. Just 1 mile. And you can actually do you can cycle through all these at the time, and then you can do the RPM, which is pretty nice. You can do the RPM. Good.
Nice bike, huh?
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna take it out. I think we're pretty clear. Thanks. All right, so floorboards, floorboards. Here we go. So yeah, it's interesting after riding all the bikes for 3 days straight to get on a Fat Boy, and just to kind of see how it compares. Yeah, I like it. Maybe it was a good thing I bought it. Oh yeah. It's funny. This Fat Boy, I call it my little rocket, because it literally feels like you're riding a rocket, because it's super fast, it's one of the fastest bikes because it's got the 114, but it's super light, which makes it really fast. So yeah, this is hands down one of my favorite bikes. That's why I have one sitting in my garage. But yeah, back to the floorboards instead of the pegs. Oh yeah. It's fast. Not as fast as those electric bikes, I have to say that. But it's definitely, I'd say hands down, probably the fastest 114. And it's smooth on the road too. It has a good sound. It's got like a growl to it. But it's not really loud. It's a really good sound. I love the sound. handles corners really well. I mean, these big fat tires, it's like really super planted on the road compared to everything else. The other thing I like is no windscreen. I love being in the wind. I just came off of that road glide special. It was a nice bike. It was probably one of the nicest that I've ever been on, but it blocked so much wind that it was pretty sweltering behind the. Actually, it had some vents in the front, but it was nothing like this. This is like your perfect hot afternoon bike in a hot summer afternoon. And the other thing that's kind of interesting about this too is a lot of your bikes have the handlebars that are a little further up, which you would think would be better for a tall guy. But if you actually take the handlebars from like up here and you bring them like way down, it like clears your whole field of view for what you're actually looking at. So it feels like you're riding a rocket because you can't really see any motorcycle that's getting in the way of your view, which is pretty cool. It's one of the really cool effects of this bike. And I thought the seat was pretty good on this, and I heard people online kind of, either they hated the seat or loved the seat. But let me tell you, this is like maybe a 45-minute seat, an hour seat. But if you try to go 3 hours on this seat, let me tell you, when you get off, you'll be like, I need a new seat, I need something. It's pretty brutal. And I actually got the Harley Davidson. It was the most comfortable seat. I can't even remember the name of it. I could put it in the description below, all my upgrades on the Fat Boy. But yeah, this is an awesome bike. And the game changer for me was the highway bars and the foot pegs to where I could put my feet, like I could stretch my legs almost completely out, all the way out, which made it seem like it was one of the few bikes that actually fit me after I did that. Because it seems like all the bikes, even the big bikes, feel like they're too small because the floorboards are so high up and the seat seems so far forward. But you get some crash bars and some of those highway pegs and get them stretched out. Oh yeah, this is like this is like very familiar. Fits me like a glove. The other thing that I love about this bike, now that I pull up to a stop sign, is the slow speed stability. Slow speed stability is number one, the best. I'd say the only thing that's better with slow speed stability, like coming up to a stop sign, is the trike. This is literally like the trike, because it's not wobbly at all because of the fat tires. And it's like you pull up to the stop sign and you'd almost fall over before you start having to turn the steering wheel back and forth to try to get your balance like you have to do on most bikes. That's the one. And bumper to bumper traffic, this is the bike that you want. It is awesome. The one kind of downside to this bike, I'd say, you can't really notice it here, but up where I live, up in the mountains, I actually have a lot of dirt roads and potholes and like really thick washboard roads on the dirt road, and this does not do well on those types of roads. Not at all. The suspension is, I'd say it's not as stiff as like a lowrider S, because it feels smooth on this road. It feels really smooth. This actually has a little bit of washboard in the road, and it actually takes it all out. But you get on some road that has like more road damage or potholes, and it's not very forgiving. In my neighborhood, I get kind of beat up on this bike. Of course, when I upgraded my seat to a better seat, it felt like I upgraded the rear shocks, really, because it takes a lot of that off of it. It's not as bad, and you can go fast on this bike. You can go highway speeds no problem on this bike. which is pretty awesome. I'm not even, yeah, I was going like 60 in 5th gear. I have another gear. Yeah, this will definitely do some highway cruising. Oh, another thing I did on this bike, in addition to the seat, is I put a backrest on the seat, which is like a really low backrest, and it makes a world of difference. You're not like fighting the wind. It's funny because when you go down the road on a bike like this, you actually, you want to push on the right handlebar to go right. Well, it's kind of hard when you're fighting the wind to try to push on the right. You end up kind of pulling on the left instead of pushing on the right like you're supposed to. And then with the back seat, you get your proper steering dynamics back, which is one of the reasons I got it. Especially if you're going, like 65, 70 for hours at a time, which is, I don't know, my route going back to work. All right, so check this out. I was actually turning around in here to see how bikes could turn around. I actually just had the streak glide in here. I don't know if I can do it. Maybe. That's a pretty tight turn. I couldn't do it with the streak glide. But normally there's not all those cars in there. I'd say this is probably one of the few bikes that I could turn that sharp going around that corner. It's pretty crazy. Alright, this guy's let me in. Alright. Nice pickup. Plenty of speed. Plenty of power. It's funny, I also have a Dyna Street Bob in 07. I thought my Street Bob was fast, and it's a 96 cubic inch engine. It's nothing compared to the 114s. 114s are so much faster, and I kept going back and forth riding my Street Bob and this one, kind of back and forth. I still ride them both, but I'd say now overall I ride this one more just for the thrill of the acceleration. Actually, it's just so much more fun with that engine. You can just, at any speed, it's just like almost takes your breath away. You give it some gas, it's like, oh yeah. And you can kind of get in trouble too. You can end up going way too fast, but it's just so exhilarating. And the steering dynamics are so different than my Street Bob. It's, going back and forth, it's kind of hard to get used to one versus the other, which is kind of weird. I do like to go back and forth between the two. So let's see, I rode like 18 bikes on this demo truck. I think I rode every single one. So I think this is my last ride. I was kind of saving this for last just to see how it would do. And out of all the bikes, my favorite are the Fat Boy, of course. I'm on the Fat Boy. I love me a Fat Boy. The Breakout, I'd say the Breakout is a close second. I was actually riding the Breakout and giving it full throttle like I was on this one. I think the Breakout's slower than this one for some reason. Or our particular Breakout is, I don't know if they, some of them have, upgrades like a stage 2, but that particular Breakout versus this Fat Boy and my Fat Boy, I think the Breakout, it feels slower. And on the Breakout, it's got the same fat tire in the back, but it has more of a raked out front end. But I think the Breakout's maybe a little harder to turn around, like the tight corners like that, so. But yeah, when I first got this bike, I kind of regretted it because it felt kind of cramped. Well, all the bikes feel cramped. You kind of have the buyer's regret. No matter what you buy, you kind of have buyer's regret. And then after I did all the upgrades, And I got it all dialed in with the seat, and the foot pegs, and the highway bars, and the backrests, and the hand grips. Now it's like I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's beautiful, and it fits me like a glove. And look at, he's kind of struggling with the slow speed. It's like I literally like have training wheels on this bike. Yeah, now I'm going normal speed. I usually race off the line with these demos, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, I love these Fat Boys. I don't know, I see a lot of Fat Boys, they kind of bring up the wow, look at all these bikes. Tons and tons of bikes. I see a lot of people on these Fat Boys bringing up the handlebars with the taller handlebars. Personally, I like them down a little bit lower so it's kind of out of my view. And in my Dyna, I have like huge ape hangers that are like really tall. So it's kind of a good contrast between the two. They are like completely different bikes. One's tall, one's short, one's loud. I keep my Fat Boy quiet with the stock exhaust. They're both beautiful, and they're both fun to drive. Or ride, I should say. You don't drive a bike, you ride a bike. I had a lot of people in my comment section say, hey, don't say ride, drive. You don't drive a bike, you ride it. Man, you couldn't ask for a better day. It's like the perfect temperature, especially for a Fat Boy with no fairing. Like 75, 80 degrees. Oh, it is absolutely beautiful. I do notice with no fairing, no wind protection, if it gets down in like the 40s or high 30s, it can be pretty brutal unless you have like heated gear. And I actually have heated pants, a heated vest, and heated gloves. So between all those, I stay toasty. I can drive down to, you know, down into the teens. As a matter of fact, I drove once into single digits, and all geared up. It was barely enough. Barely enough. Riding 65 in the single digits. It was like 4 degrees or something like that. Yeah, let me tell you, there was no bikes on the road that day except me riding with all my heated gear. I even have heated socks. This is pretty cool. And you kind of have to do that with a bike like this. So if you have a fairing, it's more forgiving, and it's not, you don't have the crazy wind chill. Yeah, so there are quite a few bikes kind of in this price range, in the $20,000 range. I was actually I took out the electric, the live wire, and the new live wire called the Del Mar. The Del Mar is like $15,500. So you have the electric bikes, you have the like the Lowrider S and the Breakout, the Fat Boy, the Street Bob. All those are about, you know, close to the same price, plus or minus maybe a few thousand. And then of course once you jump up into like the road glides, you're going up at like another $10,000, something like that usually. So, but there's a lot of options in this price range, and that's just in Harley Davidson. You could, you know, kind of branch off into other brands, and you have quite a few bikes to choose from. Of course, for me, I'd only buy a Harley Davidson. I'm pretty much a Harley only guy. Alright, looks like we're behind the, I don't know if that's a fuel, I guess that's a fuel truck. But yeah, slow speed stability is so good. I love the slow speed stability on this bike. One thing I did notice, I actually put the crash bars and the highway pegs, and if I turn a corner real sharp with my feet on the highway pegs, I actually can scrape the bottom of my foot going around the corner on a really sharp corner. So I actually pull my feet back to the mid-level pegs. But Yeah. I made a good choice with the Fat Boy. Now that I'm riding it, compared to everything else that I've ridden today. Yeah. It's an awesome bike. Pretty awesome, pretty awesome. Can't complain. If I did it again, I'd probably buy another Fat Boy. The other thing is you know, there are other bikes like, you know, today if I had an unlimited budget and I was to buy a bike, I might do the like the Road Glide Special, but that's, you know, another $10,000. So when it comes down to buying a bike and looking at the, you know, the financing and how much you want to spend, how much you have in your bank account, do I really want to spend it all on this bike? Or a lot of it comes, you know. So I think one of my favorite bikes was the Road Glide CVO Limited, which was unbelievable on the road, but it's like $60,000. You can buy 3 Fat Boys for a bike like that. I can already feel my rear end's kind of fatigued, and just that little bit of riding, the floorboards didn't really bother me. You know, I guess I just felt like, you know, with the pegs, I had a little bit more ankle freedom. That was kind of liberating. But yeah, it's a great bike. I would highly recommend it. That is the 2023 Fat Boy 114 by Harley Davidson. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming along, and I will see you next time.